You're listening to Visibility Vixen, episode 20.
Don't be scared of your own voice. Just, being you throughout, because no one else does exactly what you do.
Welcome to the Visibility Vixen podcast, where we create space to grow our brand with intention and clarity, one episode at a time. Join us as we explore the many aspects of entrepreneurship, start loving the journey instead of the destination, and begin building a legacy that lasts. Here's your host, Michelle Lewis.
Okay, so this week is such an amazing week because we have someone that I have been admiring for 6 to 8 months, and her name is Genevieve Jaffe. So Genevieve, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Nice to be here.
I'm so happy that you're here, and I want to make sure that our listeners know exactly who you are so they can be as equally impressed. So I'm going to give them a little bit of background. Genevieve is our very own sparkly lawyer, here to help you cover your beautiful business booty with legit legal protection. She runs a law practice and is the co-creator of the online legal course Damsel Goes Bear, where she educates and empowers female entrepreneurs with the legal side of their business. She also believes in magic, unicorns, pink hair, and miracles. Don't we all? So I love that. And Genevieve, would you mind talking just a little bit more about exactly what you do?
Yeah, so I work mostly with women online business owners who fall more in the service-based industry. So, people who are coaches, graphic designers, kind of stuff like that. And really for me, I, help educate them on the legal side of their business so that they can fully understand the legal stuff, as well as why it's important to kind of have it covered. So my business has kind of an educational component, as well as, I offer legal documents. I have a legal course. I do trademarks, kind of stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, and everyone that's out there that's not super familiar with the legal side of their production has just burst into a cold sweat. So I'm really glad that we're talking about this today, because this is something that a lot of people don't talk about, and they dive into their online business head first and start their website and start making courses or coaching packages, and they just don't know how to protect themselves. So then a year, 2 years, 5 years down the line, they encounter problems and they just don't know. So I love that this is what you do. Can we maybe dive a little bit into how you transitioned from the job that you were at and then saw this need and then took it online?
Yeah, so I was working at a corporate law firm in Manhattan, and when I met my now wife, she was a business coach at the time. And had asked me, have you ever thought of having your own business? And I was like, no, just nothing that I ever thought of. So, as time went on, I was meeting a lot of the women that she was serving, and, the people that were in her industry, and just a ton of other women who were entrepreneurs. And I, was fascinated by what they did. And then I saw, the lifestyle that they were living, and I was like, wow, this great. Not only are they, able to really have a ton of freedom and flexibility, but also they're really helping people and serving people. And that's, kind of something that I felt was lacking. And I wasn't really happy in a corporate job. I don't know, a ton of people who are, but, I saw this incredible market opportunity to serve the, online female entrepreneurial community in this legal aspect, which is something that was really missing. So, I saw this void, and figured I would take the leap to fill it. So I, about 6 months after I started dating Jordana, I quit my job and started my own business. So it's pretty quick. And I started it in January of 2014. So at this point, it's been a little over 2.5 years. And it's been an incredible journey. It's been hard, it's been scary, it's been exciting, it's been wonderful, it's been awful. It's a whole mix of emotions, but I'm super grateful to have the opportunity and the ability to do what I do.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's why all of us get into entrepreneurship, is seeing that void that we know that we can fill. And yours was a huge void that was so needed. And I know that things have just been exploding for you in the most wonderful way. And speaking of wonderful way, I want to congratulate you on your baby boy. That is so exciting.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We're super excited. He's coming in January, and we couldn't be more excited.
Oh, what a perfect New Year's present. Love it.
Exactly.
So let's dive into what, just as people that are just starting out, the main things that they need to work on. And I'm thinking specifically, a lot of people don't know the difference between trademark and copyright. Can we maybe talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So that's definitely not something you need to consider right away. Trademarks are definitely something where you want to be a little bit more advanced because it is something that is more expensive. And it's kind of something that your trademark really is about protecting your brand identity and preventing brand confusion in the marketplace. So you would trademark your business name, a program name, a certain phrase, a logo. That's really what trademarking is for. Copyright, on the other hand, protects original artistic expression. So that would look like a book, music, lyrics, art, work, a blog post, kind of stuff like that. So, those aren't really something that I would say is a priority when you're first starting out. What is a priority would be, depending on the type of business that you're running, but getting your website documents in place. So if you have a website, there are 3 documents that should go on your website called a website disclaimer, terms and conditions, and privacy policy. And they all protect different areas of your business. So the disclaimer protects your liability. So it protects the information that you provide on your website. So like, for example, if you're a health coach and maybe you put recipes on there, or you have some sort of, workout routine or something like that, it would tell people, this isn't specific advice for you as an individual, but rather general information. You should always consult with a doctor first, because if someone has a food allergy or an injury, you want to make sure that they're not getting injured by following the advice on your website. So that's the disclaimer. The terms and conditions protect the actual content on your website. So they would protect the recipes, they would protect the fitness information, they would protect the images that you put on your site. So if somebody else came along and stole those images or a blog post or something like that, then you would have a way to go after them and say, like, hey, you violated my terms, like you need to take this down. The last document for your website is called the privacy policy. And the privacy policy helps protect information that people give to you as the business owner. So basically, if you collect a name and an email for a newsletter or credit card information, if somebody's buying a product or program, then you would need to promise that you won't sell that information or spam them. So those are the 3 website documents. And then the other really important thing to consider is, when you're working with clients, that you have some sort of agreement between you and the client. So if you're doing one-on-one services, I call the document that I, tell people about is called a client agreement. Just straight up client agreement. It's got a ton of information about the program you're offering, how much it costs, what's your refund policy, et cetera, et cetera. If you're doing a group program or running some sort of online program or selling an online product, then you would use a different document, which is called a terms of use. On my website, it's called Terms for an Online Program, just to help you distinguish what that's for. And there's a ton of protection in there for your content, your materials, and all of that good stuff. So, these documents are really about protecting your business. They're about protecting your income, your brand, your content, everything that you work really hard for. That's what these documents are really there for. They're not meant to be scary. They're really meant to really help protect the things that you're creating and building.
Yeah, and I think there is that initial fear, and a lot of people just don't do it because they aren't sure what to do. And that's where I was at. And I just gradually, after listening to you and following your emails for a while, I just gently started researching one thing at a time and broke it down and then started integrating it. And the one thing I loved, and I can't remember where I heard this from you, I think it was from another podcast that you did, but you talked about just having a little checkbox and, saying something like, don't steal from me, and having them click a checkbox and then keep going. And I loved that. And that's something that I incorporated not only in my client agreement, but also for my e-courses. And that was such a simple little gem that at least meant so much for me in my business. And I think that's the beauty of what you do, is you take down the walls and the fears around legal protection, and you make it a lot more desirable.
Yeah, and it's making it easier for the client. And so like the checkbox you talked about, you would use when you're selling an online program. So that's, really the terms of use document, where on your invoice it just says, by checking this box, you agree to the following terms, and then it would hyperlink to the full document. And by somebody actually checking that box, that actually constitutes a signature that they are agreeing to those terms, even if they don't read the document. So that's like the beautiful thing about it.
Yes, I love that. I want to get into just a little bit more about trademarking, because I recently went on this journey, and I just want our audience to be a little bit aware. I originally had my business name my website name as Ladypreneur Legacy. And, I checked everything looked fine. There was a little bit of a trademark on the name Ladypreneur, but I moved forward just to see if I could get it. And it turned out that I couldn't, just because that person was very, very protective of the name Ladypreneur. So I changed over to Visibility Vixen. And the great thing that I had done is I had reserved both those domains like 2 years ago. And so it gave me that flexibility that when I got to that point of being like, okay, I do want to trademark, that I had a couple of options. Can you maybe chat a little bit about having a couple options when you're moving into your business at first, so you don't get too stuck on that one name that you absolutely love?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, so going forward with a full trademark, I don't think is necessary up front, but it's very important to make sure that you're conducting at least some sort of search of the name that you want to use, because I've had it happen time and time again where people will, have a business name, they'll fully brand their website, spend all this money, and then boom, they have to change it because there's already a registered trademark out there, either with the exact same name or phrase or something similar that could cause confusion. So, it's really important just to make sure that, you're checking it out, you're checking out other businesses. And the confusing thing about trademarks, and, why lawyers always suggest that you hire a lawyer to, kind of do these searches, is that you can't just search your specific phrase. So if you have a full phrase that let's just use you for example. So Visibility Vixen, you can't just search Visibility Vixen. You'd also have to search visibility and see what other combinations people use with visibility. And you'd also have to search the word vixen and see what combinations people are using with that. So it's really not just about, looking at the specific phrase that you have, but about really diving in and looking at every single combination, because trademarks don't just protect the specific phrase as you register it. It protects similar sounding phrases as well, so that there isn't any sort of confusion in the marketplace. So,
Absolutely.
It's not as easy as it sounds. And so that's why, it is important to make sure that you are looking, doing some sort of search at least up front, so that, 6 months down the line, you're not getting a cease and desist letter from somebody else who has, the same or similar business name, and then you've got to rebrand yourself completely all over again.
Exactly. So what would be the process if people are just starting their online coaching business? What would you recommend aside? Do you recommend getting a couple different domains just so that in the future, if they run into this issue, they have other options?
No, I don't. I always suggest, look, if you have a name that you're really into, run a search first. Domains aren't that expensive, so it's fine if you, buy a few of them, pile up, because they're not that pricey. But, you might as well just invest in either hiring a lawyer to run a search for you, or really trying to figure out how to do the search yourself to make sure that it's available. Because, having a domain doesn't protect the name. Just because you own a domain doesn't mean that you then have protection for that name. The only way you have full protection is by fully registering a trademark. But if you start to use a name, let's say you're using a name for a year, you don't register the trademark, but you're using it, and then, a year comes in and somebody else starts to use it, and they register the trademark, and you didn't kind of catch it first, you can still continue to use the name because you would have what's called a common law trademark, meaning you've been using it for a while, and you are able to continue to use it. So, you do have protection if you're using it kind of first, or if you've been using it longer. Mm-hmm. So, it is good to, get your stuff out there, but also, just make sure that things are available.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Well, let's focus a little bit on you and your business. What is your biggest focus right now?
My biggest focus is I'm getting ready to relaunch my online legal course in the fall. And so that's really the biggest focus. And then after that, I'll be taking some time off for the baby. Yay. So, really just getting the course up and running, and then getting a lot of things automated so that when I'm off on maternity leave, I'm still, in touch with my audience and, delivering content and delivering emails and messaging while I'm not there.
Absolutely. The beauty of automation. Love it.
Exactly. It's a beautiful thing. Let me tell you, my whole first trimester, I took full advantage of that.
I love it. What is your favorite daily habit?
I'm really big into self-care, and whether that's taking a nap or sleeping in or, working out or getting a manicure. So for me, I implement some sort of self-care every day. It's not always the same, but it's something to take care of me and making sure that I'm taking care of my body and my mind. And, when I take care of myself, I'm better able to serve my clients. Mm-hmm. I've definitely been implementing a whole lot more with being pregnant, and slowing down a little bit. So that's really what that's big for me right now.
Well, I think that's huge. I mean, you hear burnout over and over and over again every time you're online and hearing from these other entrepreneurs, and you can't really do anything successfully in your business if you're not taking care of yourself. So I think it's huge. I'm so glad that you brought that up. It's all about living in balance.
Totally.
So I want to talk a little bit about the different people who are listening right now and are feeling, when you're starting out in your business, you can very easily feel invisible. So I'd love to know your number one piece of encouragement that you'd love to give our listeners who are feeling invisible. Yeah,
just really put yourself out there. I mean, there's so many more avenues now than there were even, 2 years ago. With Facebook groups and, just the ability to connect with people all around the world, just, without even leaving your house, which is such a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. And just, don't be scared of your own voice. I talk a lot about in my business, just transparency and authenticity and just, being you throughout, because no one else does exactly what you do like you do. And, if you're here to serve a purpose, and whether or not that's to touch one person or to touch millions, people need you. And it does, it takes time to kind of get your name out there and all of that, but you just can't give up, because being an entrepreneur is like constantly running a marathon. There's always more to do. So it's just really, so take your time, but, really just don't be afraid of rejection. Don't be afraid of hearing no. Some of the greatest lessons and blessings have come from really bad, kind of crappy times in my business. Mm-hmm. So, just kind of keep going.
I think that's great advice. So true. I love that you said, don't be afraid of your own voice.
Yes.
Such a struggle, I feel, especially for women. We usually have some kind of baggage that makes us feel like we're not enough. And there's nothing more transparent than being an entrepreneur. So all of your issues, all of your insecurities are going to come up. So embrace them, work through them, heal them, and know that you've gone through those experiences to help other people with those exact issues.
Yeah, and own them, because other people can really benefit from your journey as well. Like I talk openly about, my struggle with depression, and, so many people go through that and struggle with it. And when you're an entrepreneur, like, let me tell you, there's some really hard times.
Yeah, because you're by yourself,
mainly. Right. And it brings up a lot of your own demons, but for other people to know that they're not alone and that somebody else is going through it as well, and that is able to, be successful and still kind of keep at it is really inspiring for other people. And so for me, that's why I really share things that are, society would deem taboo, because it's not really all about me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so true. I love that. So I'm sure people are obsessed with you by now, like I am. So let's talk to them about where can we find you online?
Yeah, so I run a really large Facebook group with my wife of all female entrepreneurs called Jenna and Jordana, Your Magical Business.
Love it.
So there's we love having people in there. It's free. It's a great place to just connect, ask for support and advice. And then my website is GenevieveShingle.com, where you can find out all the things that I offer and ways to connect with me as well.
Fantastic. And I know that you have a little gift for our listeners. So let's talk about your freebies.
Yeah. So the initial freebie comes with a legal checklist. Just kind of a bunch of things that we talked about. You can kind of check off what you have, what you still need. And then we have, I actually have a couple gifts that will be delivered over the course of a few days if you do sign up. One is an ebook that's called What the Hell Do I Need?, which is a basic legal guide for entrepreneurs. Basically, it's telling you, what you really do need. It's funny because that's what I would hear from people when I first started my business. Like, I don't even know what the hell I need. So I was like, oh, great, that's the title.
Awesome.
And then there's another PDF guide called Understanding Legal Contracts for Entrepreneurs, which goes through like 8 different contracts. And then also throughout the course of a few days, there are a bunch of stories just about me, about my journey. I talk about how I almost had to file bankruptcy at one point. So again, more transparency that comes with that. Yeah.
Well, that is fantastic. You guys do not miss out on that opportunity. It's huge. It's going to save you so much time, so much frustration. And I love that you can have someone that loves legal, loves to make it sparkly, and is in your corner. So I will put those links below. Be sure to sign up. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time today. I absolutely loved it. I know this will bring so much encouragement to all the female entrepreneurs out there. And I cannot wait to see your son. Oh, he's going to be the cutest thing.
You and me both.
Oh, my goodness.
You and me both.
Well, we wish
but he still needs to cook for a while.
Yes, yeah. More cooking is good. And we just wish you a blessed pregnancy. And we cannot wait to see his cute little face. And thank you so much again for coming onto the show and giving us your time.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening in today to the Visibility Vixen podcast. Subscribe now and share with a fellow Vixen who wants to start building their visibility. For more fire in your life and brand, visit visibilityvixen.com.